Hi, I'm Alekos. I'm currently rank 1 Ashe on the OpenIGG leaderboards and have been playing a lot of Ashe and Kog'Maw recently. I've played over 300 games of Ashe this season, and this guide will be showcasing everything that I did to get to Diamond 2 from being hard stuck playing primarily Ashe. Ashe is a very simple and easy to play champion, and she's rarely at the top of the ADCs and she's rarely at the bottom. And this flexibility with her always being in the middle of the pack allows you to play her every game. And since she's simple, it's a lot easier to improve at the game while playing a champion like Ashe. Like you may have heard the saying, play 200 games of Ashe or Misfortune and you'll pretty much guarantee a climb. And I'm proof of that. I used to play champions like Ezreal and Kaisa or whatever flavor of the month pick, and I didn't find success. I played 300 games of Ashe. I'm Diamond 2. It's really that simple if you play the champion to improve properly. Now let's start out with the Ashe runes. There's pretty much only one page I'll ever run, which is Lethal, Presence of Mind, Bloodline, Cut Down, Cookies, and Approach Velocity. Lethal Tempo is the best keystone for Ashe by far, as it gives you your Q focus stacks very quickly. It allows you to stick to the enemies, and it just gives you more damage in fights in general. It works very well with pretty much everything in your kit. You want to be autoing as much as possible. Presence of Mind is very good because her W costs 70 mana and she has a very low mana pool. So having that extra mana that you get from takedowns pretty much guarantees that you'll never run out of mana in sustained fights. Whereas if you're level 9 or above in a fight and you're spamming W off cooldown, it gets to a 4-second cooldown with a 70 mana cost and you have like 400 mana. So you really need this rune to keep your mana up, or else you will likely run out of mana in a fight. And Bloodline is just really good because in her build, at least the way I build her, she has no sustain, and sustain is kind of a necessary thing nowadays, and it's also very nice. Like if you're ever not getting hit at the time being and are like half HP or even less, you can pretty much always heal back up from attacking one wave or one camp. It's really a good rune. And then Cut Down, I take maybe 90% of the time. Basically, if I see one or more enemy champion that has, say, 500 more HP than me, it's always going to be better than Coup de Grace. And Last Stand's just terrible on ADCs unless you're like Samira. So just take Cut Down most of the time. And if you never want to change your rune page, just take Cut Down all the time, because it's normally going to be better. And then for Inspiration, Cookies, again, because I said Ashe has mana problems, and Cookies basically guarantees in the laning phase, this is important, you'll get maybe out of mana a few times, especially if you overstay, and popping a cookie brings you back up to like at least 100 mana, so you can basically be free to cast your spells whenever as long as you hold onto a cookie. This is way better than Boots in my opinion, which is the only other rune you would really want to take on Ashe in here. And that's because I normally buy Boots first. Some people don't, that's fine. I prefer it because the stats is insane and it feels really nice. So that rune kind of just delays my acquisition of Boots. And then Approach Velocity is a given. She slows enemies, and this rune will give you movement speed towards the slowed enemies. So it just allows you to stick to the enemies even more and have more cutting potential. And if you're ahead, they pretty much can't run away from you, so it's great. Now for build, I'm not going to overcomplicate this because it's really, really simple. I pretty much take Kraken Slayer, Phantom Dancer, IE in 90% of my games, maybe 80%. There was probably a 150 game span where I only took these three items, never deviated from these three items. It's extremely good. Now, we can talk about Gale Force, switching out Kraken Slayer for Gale Force, and this is viable sometimes, but I would only recommend doing this whenever there's a projected ability on the enemy team that you know you can dodge with Gale Force that will save your flash. For example, Yone ult, Leona ult, Seraphine ult, those are all great uses for Gale Force. But if you have Gale Force to run away from something like a Kali, that's just not going to work, so just go for the Kraken Slayer. Like, it might not seem like it, but you sacrifice so much damage by opting for the Gale Force instead of the Kraken Slayer, and Ashe doesn't really have a gap closer to begin with, so you should be positioning well enough especially in lower elo games, just to build the Kraken Slayer every game, and it doesn't overcomplicate your build. So this is great if you just have these 3 items. And then I would say the next few items are situational, but they're not really. I only go LDR and GA, swap them out, maybe one before the other, and vice versa. In 80% of my games, sometimes maybe I'll go for Bloodthirster. I would stay away from items like Mortal Reminder, Mob Mortius, and QSS because they're really not gold efficient, and as a champion that often gets memed on for not having enough damage, you really want to keep that damage high in your kit. I've tried out all these items and I've only really had success with this main build. I would stick to it as much as possible. I would like to say that I am a stubborn builder. Like, I always get Berserker's Greaves, and you know, maybe that's going to kill me sometimes, but I think that if you just default to this build, Ashe is a simple champion, you don't need to overcomplicate anything. Default to this build, you'll be fine. Maybe, you know, swap out Bloodthirster, get Mortal Reminder if your team needs Grievous Wounds and nobody else has any. That'll be like the only exception, but this is just the best for gold value in general. Also, I would like to briefly talk about how Runan's Hurricane sucks. You don't want to get that item. It's super bad with gold efficiency. It gives you less stats off the bat than Phantom Dancer gives you, plus Phantom Dancer gives you a steroid that works really well with your 4th auto focus stacks on the Ashe Q. So you'll get mega fast autos once you proc both at the same time, and also it gives you AD, so just build that. So for the ability section of this guide, I thought it would just be easier to showcase her abilities if I was in a practice tool game. So quickly I'll get myself to level 18. So for a quick rundown on Ashe's abilities, they're pretty simple except for her passive, oddly enough. I'm going to toggle minions for a second. Okay, so yeah, her passive Frost Shot, all you really need to know about this is that your abilities and autos slow, and by abilities I mean this one, like this just does vision. Yeah, your autos and your W slow on hit, and it scales with level, so 20 to 30% depending on your level. So for me, since I'm 18, I'm at 30%. A good thing to also know about this is critical strikes increase the slow, and another thing about her crits is that they don't actually deal any extra damage. Like, I'll show you. This is the really only confusing part about Ashe's passive. I'm not going to go into how it scales. Like, I don't even know. Basically, more crit is more damage. And crit amplification from Infinity Edge also helps it. I don't know. I'll just buy whatever. Again, you want to build this every game. It's fine if you do that. So basically, you have one auto, right? And then if they're slowed, like you see they have the frost on them, right? While they're slowed and have the frost on them, you do more damage on your next auto. So if you see last hit, it's more, and I didn't even proc the... Yeah, last hit is like twice as much. Again, it's because I have the crit to increase how much that's doubled or whatever. I mean, it's not always doubled, but like it's doubled there. So I'm gonna actually quickly sell all these items just to show you what it'll look like level 1. But basically all you need to know is your second hit will do more damage, and then every hit after that will do more damage. So the first one was like, it was like 100 something, I don't know, I didn't pay attention. Yeah, 115, and then 126 on every auto after. That will increase as your build gets higher, and also whenever you critically strike, it does no extra damage, but it slows more instead. So that's the passive out of the way. I know it's kind of confusing what it says and stuff. I really didn't understand it until maybe 150 games in, and I still don't really understand how it scales. All I know is once your build gets complete, once you get Infinity Edge, it'll be done, and it'll be really good. Like that's all you have to know. For the Q again, pretty simple ability. After 4 autos, you can cast it, so you need to have these 4 focus stacks, which is what I was talking about with how lethal tempo is really good on Ashe. Once you get that 4 focus stacks, you can use your Q. Once you get this, you have 5 autos or something per, like, you basically get tons of autos. I don't know. It looks cool, and it increases your damage, and it gives you an attack speed steroid, which is what I was talking about. I think there's something special, like you only get 1 on hit per stack. I don't really think that that's important. I don't really focus on it that much, other than the fact that you basically gain damage from the spell. A very good thing that you need to know about this spell, though, is it's an auto attack reset. So if you can see me autoing here, you see that my autos are I can't like change how fast I do it, but if I press Q really fast, I can auto right after. So like a really good thing to do in lane is you'll be like autoing, like say where are the dummies? Yeah. So say I'm attacking, like say this dummy's a minion, right? Wait, I'm gonna get my lethal tempo done for a second. So I'm hitting this minion, right? And then I want to instantly switch over to this one. I can, because of my Q. But like normally it'll look like this. Instead of like that. That's super fluent. And also, if you're just attacking an enemy champion in general, you can just use the auto attack reset to hit them more, and it's great. Like, yeah, it's just amazing. Like I probably use it to hit them more and more than to switch targets because it's a little bit harder to pull off. But yeah, it's an auto reset. It's great. And then W, I actually should have. Wait, I can restart the game for a second. Where is that? Reset game. Okay. So I want to show how this ability scales with level. It used to always be 9 arrows on the W, but now it is 7 to 11, right? Or yeah, 7 to 11. So to sum up what this ability does, it fires arrows that are very long range. Like this is my auto range, and then my W can still hit him from here, and probably from here too, I don't know. Yeah, from all the way to like around here, where my, like it's basically double your auto range, it's insane. A good thing to note about this is the cooldown reduces by a lot per level. Like it'll go all the way down to 4, and also the arrows increase by 1 per level, and that's good because wait, I need to level up one more time. Every time you do this, you get more, you get a wider W. So once you're finally, so once you're finally at your max rank, you'll have a super wide W compared to the super narrow W that you had before, which is just super useful. There's many uses of this ability. Wait, if I have minion spawn again, I'll just show this very quickly. You can use this W ability to push waves like that. Of course, like lower level, you won't be able to do it that wide. But if you W from the side, you can push waves really fast. Your W is very good for harass. Another good thing to note about this is that it goes through any targets that it kills. So you'll, I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna have a dummy. A dummy is gonna be here, right? So we're gonna have these minions be low, and then normally the dummy wouldn't get hit because these minions would tank it. But because I killed the minions, they go through. So like normally, it'll be like this. And then the minion will tank it. But once I kill it, it'll go through, which is very important. Because especially in lower elo, and even in my games, they hardly pay attention to this. So if you maybe get a lot of the minions low in the back line, or like anywhere behind them, you can just W through, and it's super useful. Now for the E, honestly, if you're low elo, I wouldn't focus on this ability at all. I mean, maybe level it if you have to. Like, I know it sounds kind of weird, but like I think that this ability will overcomplicate Ashe for the reasons why you would want to play her. Of course, if you can remember and habitually like E wherever, and you'll remember to do that in all your games, and it won't inhibit your improvement because you're focusing on this, then you can do it. But in low elo, it's like nobody's really going to use the thing that it provides. I would say if you're diamond or below, or not diamond, or if you're below diamond, just like if you're pushed up or something, like if you're over here, just E to make sure that you're not getting ganked. Like that's probably the best use of the spell. Whenever I was on my climb to diamond from being hard stuck, I hardly used the spell because, I don't know, bad player XD. But in terms of actually using this effectively, if you're in a higher elo, I don't know, I just recently got to kind of high elo, whatever, diamond 2. I don't really know how to use this other than at random times I'll throw this in a straight line through as many camps as possible. So I know that the alcove is really helpful because it gives a straight line. And you shouldn't think about Ashe E as just a line, because it's actually a really thick line. Like, it's a line that starts in the middle, but it like has a huge area where it just sees everything. So that's a good spot. If you're pushed up, you can also do the same. Also, if you're going to lane, where's the teleport? If you're going to lane, you can get all of top side plus your bot side, which is also useful. But yeah, you basically just want to see the jungle camps. And of course, if there's maybe scuttle fights going on, I don't normally do this, but maybe this is a thing that people do. You can of course go straight through the river. But basically the idea behind the E is it's worldwide, so you don't want to cut it off, say once you get to the end of your bot side camps. Like that, you want to have it go all the way through as far down the map as you can, because it's worldwide. You're just wasting value if you don't do this. Very valuable skill, but it's probably not useful in most elos, so that's why I don't want to talk about it too much. So for the ultimate, I think that Ashe's ult is probably her most iconic ability. It doesn't need much explaining. 200 to 600 damage. It has a little bit of an AoE, and I'll show that very quickly. The AoE and the damage isn't really why you want to use the spell, but there is a lot of misuse of this spell that I would like to talk about. But yeah, so to understand the ability, you hit it. It has an AoE to the side. It does the most damage to the first target. Yeah, the surrounding enemies take half damage. A good thing to know about this spell is it starts out at 1 second of a stun. So the minimum time is 1 second. But depending on how far away you are, the stun will be longer. So for example, if I TP myself all the way over here and hit maybe this guy, the stun will be significantly longer than 1 second. But I'm here to tell you that most of the time, this is completely useless. Like, in effectiveness in your ranked games, don't make ult snipes. I think that this is one of the worst ways to use Ashe's ult, because if you look at Ashe's kit, you see something that's pretty obvious. She has no form of self-peel whatsoever, unless if you're talking about her ultimate. If you have no ult, Zed kills you. Like, so I would hold on to this ult. I never try to make ult snipes, because yeah, you can be like, I hit them a lot, but like it's very hard to hit, or very unlikely that you'll hit the target that you want if you're super far away, because it's a very slow traveling ability, and it's very easy to dodge even whenever they're just a screen away. So yeah, I keep this ability for either one of two things: self peel, or if there's a very key target on the enemy team that I need the ult for. So for example, if there's a Fed assassin or something, a Fed carry, I'm like, okay, I need to ult this guy in this fight. If I ult him, we win the fight. That's a good use. Or you can be like, there's this guy that always kills me. He's not even that Fed, but if I don't ult him, I'll die. That's another use of the ult. I would say that use you put before ulting the Fed carry, unless if you're so far behind that it's okay that you die in a fight. But yeah, those are the only two uses of the ult that I'll ever use them for, or at least have used them for. Uh, I mean, of course, I've tried to make several ult snipes, but I'm here to tell you, it's not effective and it's not reliable. Like, don't try to do this. Because what's going to happen is you'll miss an ult snipe, and then you'll die to the assassin in the fight that happens in 30 seconds. Like, it's just not useful. Well, I mean, it can be. It can be. But it's not 90% of the time. Because you'll miss it and you'll die. Like, you need this for self-peel. View your ult as a self-peel tool, not a insane game-winning, I got SKT2 on Duke whenever he was teleporting type of spell. It's not that. Just keep this keep this spell for as long as you can. Use it as self-peel, or use it to get key targets. The only two reasons that you'll ever want to use the ult, or else you're misusing it. So one last thing I want to include in the ability guide is you can often hit more ultimates by Wing first, so it's more of a combo W ult. I'm gonna talk minion spawn really quick. But yeah, this is just a very simple combo. They're running away. WR. Well, maybe you hit the W, like you make sure you hit the W first. Doesn't really matter. I mean, I can do both. You can kind of like mask the look of the ult and the animation by Wing and ulting after. You never want to ult W because that's useless because the ult hits first. The idea behind it is you're basically slowing them so you can hit more ults. This is very good in laning phase if you want to catch someone out to maybe initiate something to get a few kills in lane. But yeah, another good thing, I didn't think I mentioned this about the volley. The arrows that hit aren't your auto arrows, they're crit arrows. So like it's like if you crit someone, so the same slow amplification that happens to your crits happens to your W. So especially early on, whenever you have no crit chance, just think about your W as a more powerful slow, as well as just really good damage. I normally only use it as poke. But like if I'm in a fight and I get my W back up, do it whenever they're farther away. I mean, I think that's kind of obvious because it's outside of your auto range by a lot anyway. So if they're really running away and you want to catch up to them faster, W is a great tool because it slows them for more, it's farther away than your autos, and since you have approach velocity, you can probably catch up to them, but they might be under tower or whatever, but yeah, your W is a more powerful slow. I thought that was a good thing to mention. So a few more things with the W. More powerful slow, and W ult because it's such a powerful slow that you'll hit your ult a lot more. Now to wrap up this guide, let's talk about Ashe's identity. And I think that there is a fine balance that she lives in between being a supportive champion and a hyper carry champion. Some would say she's only really a supportive utility ADC. I think that's completely wrong. I wouldn't play her if I couldn't carry on her, which you absolutely can. But this flexibility and identity does leave a lot of room for the players to find success on Ashe. So for example, you can always have your team carry you on Ashe, which is a very good benefit. Maybe you're just learning the role, or you're very passive for whatever reason as an ADC, you're afraid to die. You can always just stand back, throw a few Ws, and you'll probably find success. And also, you can miss all your ults and just be a very good ADC, get your items, and carry. it works the same. Ideally, you do both. You carry and you be supported for your team. That's the greatest way to optimize your efficiency on Ashe, and that's what I try to do every game. But you can go either or, and you can probably still win with both. So this simplicity and flexibility is very strong for Ashe, and it works really well because this mixed identity allows the play style of the player to not really interfere too much with the champion choice. Now, I would also like to talk about how Ashe loves to be more aggressive in lane because her volley is around twice or more the attack range of any enemy you'll be against, so it's very great for harass. Plus, her attack range in general is 600, which is higher than the standard ADC. So if you want to, or if you want to improve, you should be trying to play her aggressively. Of course, correctly aggressively. You don't want to just run it down because she doesn't have any gap closers or escapes. So you definitely want to play her safely, but in an aggressive way. So that wraps up my Ashe guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that I could give you some advice that I learned climbing to rank 1 on Ashe. Anyways, if you guys like the content, I should be uploading more frequently now. This was my first video, but I'm planning on making this channel a sort of educational, ADC focused channel where I'll also give some general climbing advice. And check out my stream at twitch.tv/Alekos. Can't really guarantee that I'll be streaming. I don't have a schedule yet. But once I do, I'll make sure to notify you guys in future videos. But yeah, thanks for watching.